resources among community. So next, we are going to hear more stories about yellow blocks from Kimiko. Kimiko has I've heard of Kimiko for so long that this is the first time I actually have her in our events. So yes, thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to hear your story.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and amazing initiative by the Open Up Global Summit, and also thank you Upstart Labs for bringing us to Vietnam. So I am Kimiko and I come from Yellow Blocks. So I think I heard that more than half of the room we work in the technology field. So I want to learn more about like what kind of technology are you working on? Normal mobile development? Anyone working with AI technology? Data scientist in the room? Wow, you, okay. Blockchain? You cover all of those technologies. Okay, at least with the mobile development, of course you are involved in the cloud technology. So what I am sharing today is actually my journey and what I have learned after I talked with a lot of technology leaders regionally and globally. And the topic for today is about the future of work, what it means to connect all the dots. So before that, I want to open up by this word. So Open Up Global Summit, the moment I see the logo, this one, in my mind actually is open up. The first one is open source, and the second one is start up. And then you kind of wonder, like, if you want to build like an open source community, it's about being open. It's about being open to new ideas. It's about being open about the previous perceptions or previous definition what we used to have. So before the open source era, we have like the IP for all the source code and so on that we develop. And when open source comes, the Linux and all these, it creates a new movement. And actually from that we see a lot of blooms for the new activities. The same with startup. Before you become a startup, you have to start. So that's the first one. That's the action point there. So what I want to share here today is, later on I will share my personal story, but just a quick recap is that I actually came from an engineering background. I graduated as the Bachelor of Science in Telecommunications and Computer Science in one of the top universities in Finland. And after I came back to Vietnam 10 years ago, I kind of like got depressed by that current infrastructure at that time. So I was working at one of the leading like IT system integrators in Vietnam. But then I see that like the values that we can contribute as a technology development, we are still like, actually the hardware, it will take up to 90% of the whole project values. And 10% is like the system integration part, that is the margin, right? So that's crazy. And then I just see that like all the things that I have learned over there, like it's actually, we are just bringing the global technologies to Vietnam. But at that time, like we are the open source country, we are the manufacturer. And we haven't seen like any movement of the start back then. So then I pursued the MBA program in UK, and then when I came back to Vietnam, actually I worked in the marketing communication for the last 10 years. I recently came back to tech 3 years ago, and it all started with my curiosity. So what does it mean to be curious? It's about like being open to like the constant questions in your heart. And I just quote here one of my favorite quotes. So millions of people saw the apple fall down from a tree, but only Newton was the one who asked why and had the result out of that. So in our mind, in the mind of the curious, it should be like the constant questions. We have to challenge we have to redefine the new definition. We have to redefine what it means. So today I'm going to share with you about the future of work with my observation, with my constant curiosity. So you can know like the process or the thinking flow of how my mind works. So first of all, like with my previous engagement and experience with talking with top leaders in the technology field, what is the portrait of a leader in technology industry? The second one is the future of the workforce, and this is not my words, but just the analysis that I take from the World Economic Forum Future of Work report this year. And then we can take a look at the tech industry landscape. I don't know which project you are working on right now, but of course it's good to know like where it is heading and what kind of technology is leading in the future. And then what is the emerging skills when we are entering the era of emerging technologies like AI, machine learning, that is going to replace most of our repetitive work. So these are some of the technology leaders. I guess like you will know like most of them. So from Bill Gates, from the very long time ago, Jeff Bezos, after that is from Amazon, and then recently Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, or Brian, you can read up about this one. This Project Owl is like the most amazing example of what the open source project could mean. So you can research more about this. And also Eric Burridge. So all of these technology leaders, if you look closely at them, actually, about their skill set, it's not about the technical understanding that got them there. It's about the vision. And the vision and the skill set is more about the business skill set. The business skill set in a way of like observing what is the problems of this current world that we are living in. And then, of course, with the engineering mind, with the technical understanding, they constantly ask the question until they find a solution, which make them like become like the top in the industry. And most of the time, I really like the word connect the dots. I don't know if you have heard the speech from Steve Jobs. That is like the phrase that he used about connecting his past and what it led him here. So each of us, we have different experience and different observation. But at one day, you just see that like all these dots, actually it have the meaning that took you here. So the future of workforce, if we take a closer look, so after this, I will have the link to download the World Economic Forum Future of Work report. These are 200 pages, a lot of words, but this is a condensed part that you as the one working in the technical field, you have to pay attention. So the future of workforce, if you see at the three main tasks and scope of work for the technology workers, you will see that in 2018, where we are right now, administering, like, so the yellow part is the current part that is taken care by robot or automation or system. And then the white part is taken care by the human. And you can see that in the next 4 years, a lot of things is going to change. Of course, robot is going to replace most of the work, but the only part that it cannot replace, the same one is in the middle. It's about communication. It's about interaction. So what it means for us is that, of course, we have to keep our expertise, but it also means we have to emerge out of our shell, and we have to like evolve. As the AI is getting smarter, right? Humans also have to evolve. So what is the emerging skill sets? What is the emerging position that is in the future? So for now, like 17%, and I think around you can see that actually what is the highest paying job currently for developers in Vietnam? Which programming language will pay you out the most? Python. Yes. No? Okay, Josh will have different ideas. But it's my turn on the stage.
Not programming language, but
Yes.
data science.
Data scientist. So that's a tricky question. Yeah, of course you need a programming language, but actually the one paying you the most is like data scientist, AI scientist. And like you see like the volume is raising. And of course like it's like we start to see that in Vietnam, but actually globally this is a movement. And for the last 2 or 3 years, like every single year, the positions line up is like double or triple for data scientist, AI machine learning specialist, big data specialist, software and application developers and analysts. You are not going to be replaced, but you have to learn new skills. And what is the declining skill set? Vice versa. It's about data entry or like system automation. Because like when we look back at this one, all of this work from 39% to 57%, the machine is going to take care of that. Okay. So about the industry landscape, if you look at the most upcoming, the thriving industry growth, so we have also taken, this is like a revised version of the World Economic Forum report, but you can look at that one. So we see among only hundreds of thousands of companies being surveyed, what is the technology that they will care more about? So the new technology, they just say new technology, but of course this year, next year there will be different definition. And then cloud technology. So quick quiz for you. Do you know the cloud penetration rate in the US? So how many, the percentage of the enterprises and corporates that are using cloud services in the US? Wild guess?
60%.
60%?
More than 80.
More than 80, yes. 90%. So from the very small business to startups, even at the start, they already started using like the cloud services. And what is the cloud penetration rate in Vietnam?
20%.
What is cloud?
10%.
5%. So AWS, that's why AWS still have a lot of room to grow here. So the advances in cloud technology, and of course, like with cloud, we are not talking about the spaces or the data storage anymore. It's the first generation. But then it comes to the data analytics and all the extra services on that. So the increasing availability of big data is actually like depend on the cloud movement. And then the advances of mobile internet, this trend Vietnam is up to par with the world. And then the advances in computing power, like quantum computing, although I doubt it would come to Vietnam soon, and advances in artificial intelligence. This one is increased demand. So if you look at all of those bold text, the common word that I have just like talking over and over again is cloud, big data, artificial intelligence. All of these new technologies, we can call them emerging technologies. And the industry landscape, again, like when you ask all the company leaders about their willingness or their intention to apply the technology, it also appear up all of these new things. And also blockchain is on the list. So after reading this kind of report and my observation, so we decided to start an open source community. So what is open source community? So we call that ABCD Tech Community. And our tagline is to connect emerging tech communities. So as you can see in Vietnam, we have the big data scientist community, we have the developers group, we have Java developers group, we have C programming language developers group. What we are doing is not to create yet another communities, but we want to connect all of these communities together in an open source initiative. And how can we do that? So it will be about emerging technologies. It's about combining. It's about curating all of these technologies to have like the real like business values. So we do have like applied AI in taking on the trending news around the world, on the news on. We have like a watching list of all the technical news and so on, and then that AI will select the most trending news, the most discussed news globally, and then auto share into this fan page. And we are looking for any tech companies or startups or experts working in this ABCD tech industry to be the collaborators. And the reason why we call that the open source community is that We are just the one to initiate that, but then like this, we are not the owner of this group. We are not the designer of this one, and we are going to build this blueprints for these communities, and we can like really open sharing. If you want to create your next technical communities, what should you do? So our activities for now is to share all the training news and to share all the trending events. For now is in Vietnam. So any upcoming events in Vietnam, if you come to the page, they will be listed.
Please share us.
Yeah, so this open up summit we already share on this page.
Yeah.
So this is like a call for action. So if you visit, because I didn't know that we can show the video here, but there's a cool video about the ABC Tech community. So if you can take a look on the fan page. So back to the topic today. So what is our action after knowing these are the trend? The train is running, right? Whether we get on the train or not, is still running. So what is the emerging skills for the future of work? And I think that is the question of whether you want to action or not. So the emerging skills, as you can see, is not only about the very specific or expertise that you already have, but it's about expanding your capacity. It's about liaising, it's about the hybrid model, combining between technical and business skills. And those of you who are already working as a business analyst, actually you will see that that's the most, crucial part of the project, to be the bridge between the technical development team and then like the business, to actually like to the product owner, to be the translator. So most of the time it's not about the language, like English or Vietnamese, but it's about the technical language or business language or marketing or common people language. So that is the first one, and as you can see, communication skill cannot be replaced by robots in the very near future. So still you have to do it and learn it yourself. So these are the 4 recommended skills by the future of work. So I think most of the engineers here in the house today, we already have the complex problem solving skills, but have to develop more about critical thinking. And then the third part that people usually say, I'm a developer. What does it mean to do with creativity? Creativity is not about being a designer or a creative director. Creativity actually is also about problem solving. But complex problem solving creatively, it means to think very simple. That's the most simplest definition of that I can think of. So the next time, for example, if someone asks you what is open source, instead of trying to give very technical definition, maybe you simply say, okay, it's like Wikipedia. So we can kind of like, we create the thing that people can collaborate on that. No one owns it, because like it's for the good of the people. So try to find different definition, different analogies to describe the topic, and most of the time it has to be very simple. And then people management, the leadership, and then the project management skills. So this is the link if anyone wants to download the long version of the World Economic Forum Future of Job report. So I will leave like maybe 10 seconds on screen for people to take you can take the picture and later on you can visit this. Okay, and this is some of the reference links that you can also read more if you are keen to know what is happening around the world technically. Okay, so I promised to you that I will tell my personal story, so I have like, I think remaining 5 minutes. So it's back to the constant curiosity and constant asking the question. So after came back to the technology industry 3 years ago, I go around and I see that this is like the most common topic that people are talking about without knowing what it is. I mean, even common people, they will talk about startup fundraising, crowdfunding. We don't even like really know the definition. 4.0 revolution, AI, blockchain, cloud data, digital transformation, emerging technologies. So in my mind, actually, there's a question. So if people are already talking a lot about it, why still like we are still behind or we do not see any result. So how to foster the technology adoption, how to foster the action. So this is kind of like my thinking process. So the first one, this is a quiz for you. So would you like one whole cake or a piece of one cake?
Piece of one cake.
Okay, for the engineer, let me interpret this question. So do you want 1% or 100%?
1%.
You know the size of the cake?
Yes.
The other side? So either 99% or 0%. Okay, so the correct question to ask is like, okay, 1% of what and 100% of what? So it's about, sometimes like 100% will be even less than 1%. So if you take a look at this cupcake and this giant cake, right? So we are too busy to fight for that 1% or 20% of the market share without realizing that like the cake is getting bigger. And then, okay, the second quiz. So what is the quickest way for the red dots here to connect to all the other dots? Jump into the middle? Okay, is there any way? And it has to be connected to all the other dots, right? So first step is to get into the middle, and then the second step is what? Drawing a star?
Yeah. Or stay in one place and all 5 star will get to the red dot. Yeah.
Okay, so jump into the middle and wait.
No, you just went right there.
Okay,
It just come.
okay. Because it's red. Okay. Yeah, so this is like the most common, like the first, like fast thinking and slow thinking, right? This is a fast thinking. Also, I will jump into the middle, and then I will like, that's the shortest way to each of those other guys. But what about this? Instead of like going to 5 different guys, I just need to find one guy that is actually connected already to all the other 4. So I just need to go and talk with one guy. I doesn't really even need to be in the middle actually. I just need to be somewhere like around that guy. So that's just like flipping the question. So I want you to remember these pictures and later on I will explain that. Okay, so the third question, what is the number 1 entry barrier for business that start when they first enter a new market?
User experience.
Users, experience, market research, money. A lot of people say money. I need money. Okay, so basically, that's quite surprising because all of those things actually it come from one simple reason. That's the trust. Even if you are a big name in like some other markets, but if you come to Vietnam for the first time, people haven't heard about you, then you still take a lot of money to get there. So it's about the trust. It's about the connection. So that is the 3 first questions when I come to the technology field. And then like I built Yellow Box to answer specifically those 3 questions. That's the journey of how I started Yellow Box. So then I envision like a platform that solves all of those 3 problems. The first one is like how to make the cake bigger. Not caring about how many percent that we take, it's just like overall it should be a bigger cake. The second one is that how to be a connector efficiently, how to utilize all the current resources. There are already a lot of accelerator incubators, VCs going on, a lot of startups, how to best connect with them. And then the third one, how to minimize this entry barrier, how to create an instant trust. So we were recently featured in Business Insider, Yahoo News, and all the local media from VN Express to Nhịp Cầu Đầu Tư. So we are the first emerging tech ecosystem connector for Vietnam. And just within 1 year, we now form around like 100 partners in 40 countries. Most of them are very big names. We have the 100,000 extended reach for the community, and we host a lot of like more than 30 projects and events for our partners. So we are kind of like the bridge for technology, business and marketing. And ABCD Tech Communities that I just mentioned to you is one of our projects. And we are able to do that just starting by the word open. We haven't even touched the word startup yet, because like for me personally, I spent most of my youngerhood, adolescent in Finland, and I think like European in the terms of like sustainable and long-term investment. So for me, like the infrastructure and the current ecosystem in Vietnam, there's so much room to grow. And as the engineer and as the one working directly in the technology industry, I congratulate you because you are already at the center already. You don't have to jump into the center. So the next one is actually to expand your skill, to develop your emerging skill. I welcome everyone to join the ABC Tech Communities. Yellow Blocks is about the consulting part and so on, but for ABC Tech is open for anyone, and we also open for any kind of partnerships, and like if you have any inquiries. Actually on Yellow Blocks we also have an open source content page. It's named 1 Minute by Size. So what we mean by 1 minute by size is that we break down very complicated definition. What is AI, what is blockchain, into one very short Facebook post. You can read them in 1 or 2 minutes and you get the whole concept with a lot of pictures. So I welcome you to read about that one, and if you want to contribute or be one of the curators for that column, you can call us and you can scan this one to get to our fan page. Okay? So thank you very much, and I welcome any questions.